What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Draft Report. In today's video, we'll be talking about potential number one overall pick in USC quarterback Caleb Williams. So let's get into the film. Williams is an exceptional playmaker, commonly making plays with his legs or throwing off platform on the run. Here's a good example of that against UCLA. On the snap, nothing's open. He's able to avoid one defender, two defender, three defender, rolling to his left side, throws it on the run, accurate ball for the first down. Here's another example of Caleb's amazing playmaking ability. On this play against Utah, no one's really open, pocket collapses, he's able to bounce it outside, going to his weak side, jump throw on the money to his receiver. While Williams is great at making throws on the run, he's also a very good rusher. Here's a good example of that against Washington. Edge pressure comes in, he's able to run back, avoid that, get out of a leg tackle, get to the edge with speed, juke out a defender, get out of bounds, picks up a nice 10 to 15 yards. Here's another example from that same game. Williams is able to get outside the pocket, and then he's one-on-one with this defender at the second level, pulls out a little spin move to pick up an extra 5 yards. This season, he broke or caused missed tackles on over 35% of his runs, which was near the top in the FBS, and he's very hard to tackle and very elusive in the open field, as you can see here. Here's another good example of Williams' rushing ability. Late in the game against Utah, they need to get this pickup. Design QB draw, bounces it outside, gets into the end zone. But what I really like about this is his vision and ability to set up blocks here. QB draw, we have this pulling tackle, and then he's going to get good depth. Instead of just bouncing this out immediately, he's going to set up this block, really force these three defenders to get downhill and get to the right, believing that he's going to run it up the middle, and then as soon as they take a couple false steps, he's going to bounce this outside, use that speed, get outside, and score. Williams also displays great arm talent that he uses well, not only in the pocket, but out of the pocket as well. Here's a good example of that. UCLA sends a blitz. He does a good job stepping up in the pocket, avoiding that pressure, just little pocket movements, and then from his own 20-yard line, so that 50 yards in the air, just a little jump pass from his own 20 all the way, hits his receiver in stride, 50-plus yards downfield for the big touchdown. Just an elite play. Let's watch it one more time. Blitz comes in, little step up in the pocket, off one leg, launches it 50 yards in the air, 80-yard touchdown. Here's another example of his elite arm strength. This is supposed to be a little designed rollout out to the right, but right here, Williams realizes there's no safety help over the top, and he has one of the fastest receivers in the game over here against a cornerback who can't hang. He decides to flip his attention from his own 16-yard line, throws it in the air, receiver doesn't have to break stride, catches it at the 20, 65-yard throw in the air. There's only been like 5 quarterbacks in the league this year who threw one that far in the air, and Williams is definitely on that level of arm talent for sure. Just unbelievable arm and can test all levels of the field. While Williams is great out of structure, he can also beat you as a pocket passer. Here's a good example of that. UCLA is running zone coverage, and Williams' first read is this curl right here, and he looks at that read first, realizes this linebacker is coming downhill on it, very quickly gets off that read, turns his attention to the middle of the field, and hits his receiver in stride. Good job getting through his progressions, hitting the backside of a play, and getting through his reads very quickly. Here's another good example of Caleb's ability to read out the entire field and process the game. So this is going to be a cover 2 concept from Stanford, and they're going to run a out, a streak, and then 2 curls and a in breaker. And Caleb's first read is going to be over here. If this guy gets depth and can stack, he's going to throw it vertically, and then he wants to read to this guy on a little short outbreaker, and then he can get to the backside of this read. On the snap, Caleb, he sees, does a good job, good footwork on the drop, but on the break, this guy's covered. He does a good job quickly at the top of his drop, flipping his attention to the other side of the field, and as this linebacker here is dropping down to spy Caleb, he reads that out well. As soon as that guy drops down, he waits an extra tick and hits his guy as he gets past that linebacker, hits him in space, hits him in stride, able to make a move. Williams isn't the best at throwing with anticipation from the pocket, but he does show high flashes of it and does it on occasion. Here's a good example of that. In the face of pressure, throws it out to his receiver before he even breaks. As we slow this down, Williams is starting his throw. Look at where his receiver is, not even breaking, but he reads this cornerback. His eyes are downfield. He's not going to be able to get downhill and break on it. Just throw it out in front of your receiver. Let him go get it. Throws it with great placement, great accuracy, great timing. just a very good throw from Williams here. Caleb also shows a good ability using his eyes to get defenders out of their spots. On this play, we're going to have a little short curl and then a flat route, really stressing this defender. He's going to drop into zone and have to choose between the two. And Caleb does a great job forcing him into that decision. So as we can see, when the ball is snapped, this defender is at first following this guy, but look at Caleb's eyes. Caleb's eyeing down this flat route even though he knows he's going to want to go here. And then Caleb pump fakes there, drawing him downhill, drawing him out of that spot, and allowing this receiver to come open for the easy pass. It's the little things, but this is what makes you a good pocket passer. We can see it from the other angle. Really good eyes here to draw this defender. He's eyeing that guy down, pump fake, hits this guy. Caleb is also very good at throwing with touch and not just always throwing with maximum velocity. On this play, his read isn't going to be open. He does a good job avoiding the pressure, getting outside, and then this running back's running down the sideline. But when he throws this, if you throw this right here, it's a tight window, so you're not going to be able to throw with velocity, but just loft it over. Great throw. We watched it in full speed. Just puts a ton of air under it, lets his receiver run under it, and gives the defender no chance to catch it. Great touch throw. Another area where Caleb excels is changing his arm slot to create new windows to throw. Here's a good example of this. He does it a lot on screen passes like this. If he throws this with a normal arm angle, it's getting tipped, but in the face of pressure, with a guy, half a yard away from him, he's able to just throw it out, sidearm, underhand, accurate, get his receiver in space for a pickup. Here's another quick example of that. Again, another little screen pass to the outside. Just unbelievable ability to throw with different arm slots. He can, just throw it around defenders with ease like these plays. He can get a little over aggressive, changing his arm slots at times when he doesn't need to. Here's a good example of that on this play. Clean pocket, no one in his face, and he tries to throw a little sidearm pass and puts it way in front of an open receiver. Most of his inaccuracies over the middle of the field are a cause of this. He's just trying to do a little too much when he could just throw this with normal mechanics, hit his receiver in stride. There's no reason to make it harder on yourself than this pass is. Caleb's biggest area of weakness as a passer is his poise under pressure. Here's a good example of that. Sometimes his footwork can just get a little wonky in the face of pressure. Here he just is way too flat-footed, doesn't bounce around, doesn't move around in the pocket, and just takes too long to break this out, and then he gets sacked. Here's another example of that against Washington. Hits the top of his drop, his receivers aren't open, but then he stays in the pocket way too long. I'd like to see him, once he hits the top, either move up or try to get to this open space or bounce it outside. He has the ability to do that, but instead he's just going to sit at the top and way too much time in the pocket, gets brought down for the sack. Caleb also has a pretty big fumbling problem, as we'll see here. He had 16 fumbles this year and 33 over his career. Here hits the top of his drop, doesn't handle pressure very well, very flat-footed, not bouncing around. Pocket collapses on him. He tries to break free, ball just slips out of his hand. He has very weak grip on the ball, and it just pops out so easily. Even when he's holding the ball with two hands, it feels like the ball's just has butter on it or something. He's going to need to get this figured out because fumbles are very bad turnovers and ones that he needs to fix, especially if he's going to take a lot of sacks at the next level. Caleb's decision making, which is very good from clean pockets, gets very bad under pressure. Here's a good example of that. Pocket constricts on him, and right here he decides to throw it to this receiver who has two people on him, and of course, where's that going to end up? In the defender's hands. Honestly, both these defenders had better chances of catching this than his receiver, and this comes up a lot when pressured. Here's another play from that same game. Pressure forces him to bounce it outside, throwing to his weak side, decides to throw it into this. He's trying to throw to this receiver with this guy converging on it and this guy behind him. Not a smart throw, obviously gets picked off. Caleb does show flashes of good pocket presence, like here. He does a great job bouncing around, moving up, buying himself time to throw, but they're just too inconsistent and snap-to-snap basis. I would say he handles pressure pretty poorly. But if we get more of this, he can definitely be an NFL pocket passer. So that'll wrap up the film portion of today's breakdown. I just want to finish up with my final thoughts and a player comparison and grade. So overall, Caleb Williams is exceptional as a creator. When the play breaks down, he's unbelievable. His ability to throw on the run, use his legs, juke people out in space, break tackles, and again, just hit any throw, no matter if it's 60 yards downfield, on the run, from any platform, any arm angle. It's unbelievable. I feel like he's almost better when he's able to get free and make a play in space. He's Mahomes-like in that, where you feel like you do so great forcing him out of the pocket, and then he just makes an amazing play on his own. So I think he'll be maybe second in the league to Mahomes when it comes to his ability to make plays when the when the pocket collapses. But then as a pocket passer, he definitely needs improvement. From clean pockets, he's pretty good with timing and accuracy and anticipation. He sometimes will change his arm angle or footwork and it messes up throws, but accuracy is pretty solid. He does a very good job throwing with touch, knowing when to throw it hard, knowing when to fit into tight windows. He can read the entire field. He does a good job getting to the backside of plays. He reads the field quickly. He's a pretty smart player. He understands all the defensive concepts. So I think he's very good from clean pockets. I'd like to see him throw with a little more anticipation, throw with little better timing, but those are little things. But his biggest problem is under pressure. His decision making under pressure is very poor. That's where most of his picks come from. And then his footwork under pressure is bad. He either stands too still or he'll try to break free too early. He doesn't possess that elite poise in the pocket right now. And when you combine that with his fumbling, it's very bad because he takes a lot of sacks and he fumbles a lot. So that's my biggest area of concern for him. But I think the flashes are encouraging. He has a lot of high-end flashes of pocket movement and throwing under pressure and using his arm angle to get it around defenders coming at him. So I think overall he'll get a lot better in the league. He'll still be a guy that takes a lot of sacks, and that's going to be frustrating. But I think if he can get this pressure to sack rate down from 25, what it is right now, to like 15, that'll help his game immensely. If he can just hold on to the ball a little more and just improve his decision making under pressure, hit checkdowns, throw it away a little more, I think that'd be very good for him. He is prone to some hero ball mistakes too. When he's outside scrambling, he'll make some stupid passes, like Josh Allen or something, just trying to do too much. But he does a very good job limiting turnovers while also being pretty aggressive. Like an 8.8 ADOT this year and only 5 picks. Very good at testing downfield, but not being overly aggressive. So I like that from him. So overall, I think he's going to be a superstar at the next level. He just has everything in his game. His arm talent is off the charts, and he's the best creator I've ever seen at the college level. The reason his teams didn't do well was because of the defense. It wasn't because of him. I think he is a leader, the nail stuff and the crying with his mom. I think it just shows he cares and he uses it for motivation, so I'm not worried about that. And the character issues are really not that big of a concern to me. I think he will be a good leader at the next level, even if he's not the most vocal or a typical quarterback. So overall, Williams 7.54 on my 8-point scale. He is truly an elite prospect. I think he's a perennial all-pro guy, and he'll be like a top 5 quarterback within his first contract. He's a guy that can engine an offense and be the main reason why a team wins the Super Bowl, I believe. So yeah, I'd have no problem taking him first overall. The Bears should definitely take a quarterback over Justin Fields, whether it's May or Williams. I would take Williams, but it's close. They're both amazing. Williams is a little better out of structure. May's a little better in structure. So, it's your choice. I would take Williams, but they're both great, and Williams should definitely be in that first pick discussion. So, player comparison, it's Mahomes and Kyler Murray. I think he'll end up somewhere in between them because he's a little better than Kyler, but it's very hard to project someone to be Patrick Mahomes. So he'll end up somewhere in between them. But that, even if he ends up being Kyler, that's a great quarterback. If that's your floor, then you're doing something right. So that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.